In our first story, the Council of State is set to review petitions seeking the removal of Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo following President John Mahama's decision to initiate formal proceedings for her removal. A statement from the presidency confirms that the president has begun consultations with the Council of State as required by Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. Before this, other justices have been through this in the Fourth Republic. We have Justice Isaac Kwabena-Aban, who also faced similar pressure, but the petition failed because of wrong procedure. Justice Georgina Theodore-Wood also experienced some pressure, but no petition was forwarded. Today, moves are being made against current Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. A member of our Legal Affairs Desk, Kwasante, has more.
According to the statement signed by Government Communications Minister Felix Kwakye-Ofosu, the President has received 3 petitions from various persons seeking the removal of the Chief Justice Gertrude Torkornoo. President Mahama has since forwarded the petitions to the Council of State to commence the consultation process mandated under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution. When such a petition is received, Article 146(6) of the 1992 Constitution requires the President to consult with the Council of State to appoint a committee to investigate the allegations. This committee must include 2 justices of the Supreme Court, one of whom serves as chairman, and 3 other individuals who will not be members of Parliament, the Council of State, or lawyers. The committee is mandated to investigate the allegation and make recommendations to the President, and the President shall comply with the recommendations of this committee. If the petition is referred to a committee, the President may also suspend the Chief Justice by a warrant signed by him upon the advice of the Council of State.
Now let's see who makes up the Council of State to advise the President on his next line of action. And we have some slides that will be telling us the Council of State members. They make up about 31 of them, including the chairman. Just Do Ajao was former Speaker of Parliament. We'll be bringing you details of that. Also on that council is Justice Sophia Ekufu over there. And as I said earlier, there are 31 members making up that Council of State. Next slide, please. Now, elected members are 16, and President appoints 11 members to that council. And high-profile council members are 3. De facto member is 1, making up the 31 members of that council. Now, 45% of the council members are directly or indirectly appointed by the President. And as I said earlier, Edward Do Ajaho is former Speaker of Parliament between the years 2013 to 2017. He was also MP for Aveno Ave in the year 1993 to 2013 for the NDC, and also Deputy Speaker, a former Deputy Speaker in Parliament as well, 2009 to 2013. So he spent quite a number of his years in Parliament. Then we have Justice Sophia Ekufu, former Chief Justice of Ghana between the years 2017 and 2019, and makes up the Council of State, and also a Supreme Court judge between 1995 to 2019. And she was Chief Justice during the Akufo-Addo administration. We also have Betty Mouldy-Juice, who happened to be the former Minister for Education between 2011 and 2012, and then former Minister for Justice and Attorney General between the years 2009 to 2011. We have Air Marshal Michael Sampson Oje, who is former Chief of Defense Staff between 2016 and 2017. So these are the top members who make up the council. Well, joining us for more on this is lawyer Christian Hesse to take us through some of the procedures that will be going on and some of the things that the Council of State should be considering in advising the President on this move. We welcome you to desk this morning, sir. Article 146 outlines the procedure for the removal of a Chief Justice. But then what specific steps must be followed and what are the constitutional implications if any part of the process is not adhered to?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. Obviously, if the constitutional process is not followed, comes to constitutional and that particular procedure, that procedural conclusion reached would definitely be rejected away as not being constitutional. Just as you mentioned, Article 146 is the primordial of direction as far as this particular process is concerned. Rightly so, it follows the removal of superior justices of the court, and it is quite pari passu with that of the Chief Justice, just that in the situation of the other superior court justices, the Chief Justice is the one who receives the petition. But when it comes to that of the Chief Justice, the President would receive it and have recourse to the Council of State and have two justices of the Superior Court appointed as part of the committee, with one of them being the chairperson, and then three other laymen, and those laymen should not be members of Parliament, should not be part of the Council of State and all of that. They should be well-meaning Ghanaians who are inclined to understand the process, but not necessarily legally inclined, so that there will be a balance of the common thinking man objectively. Yeah.
Right.
So with that said, and then they would have to go into the process, and it is heard in camera. And when it's heard in camera, the accused, which would be the petitioner accusing the Chief Justice of grounds of incompetency and all of that, or misconduct, as they allege or allege.
Well, on the grounds of removal, as you say, the Constitution specifies stated misbehavior, incompetence, or inability to perform the functions of office as grounds for a removal. But what legal threshold must be met to substantiate these claims against the Chief Justice?
Yes, I mean, it should, that's why we have what is the prima facie case. It should be, that threshold should be grounded in the petition, so that it becomes a term of legal act, that if you say the person is incompetent, is it in respect of the administrative duties as the Chief Justice, if it is on, if the person is impaired, is it that the person is sick and unable to carry out the duties, stated misbehavior? You need to demonstrate that factually in your petition to canvass and ground your petition, so that it becomes a prima facie case that you would build. And if the petitioners are unable to establish this so well, it will not fly. And mind you, the Chief Justice would also be heard, because the altering party rule requires, basically the natural justice rule requires that the other side must be heard. So this matter will be heard in camera. And when all of that is done, the report or recommendation would be made to the President. And while this is ongoing, the President has it is persuasive. It is not mandatory that the President suspend the Chief Justice, but it is only persuasive under Article 146(10), which says that in consultation with the Council of State, the President may sign a warrant to suspend. And so it is also not persuasive, but it depends on the degree of advice and the situation at stake for the President to take such decisions. So, in summary, this is what would transpire. And indeed, if it is not one of a legal grounding threshold, it will not fly.
But I mean, you mentioned the petition, and I'm sure the question on everybody's minds, what is entailed in this petition that the presidency is talking about? Since we do not know what is in that petition, could the president likely be acting sui generis in law, as in could abuse the office of power and say that, well, I'm initiating this, process against the Chief Justice without us criticizing or at least critiquing what is in the petition? Lawyer Mahama, are you there with us? Unfortunately, we seem to have lost Lawyer Mahama there, and we're trying to understand the processes that is involved in, removing the Chief Justice from office. And as we already know, the presidency has come out to tell us that processes have begun. At least we know that the Council of State have begun reviewing the petitions that have come from about 3 persons to the president to remove the Chief Justice. Before this petition, we know that Professor Sari in the Kufuor administration also gave up a petition to remove the Chief Justice for stated misconduct. But we're still trying to understand the situation in this particular petition. And we have on the line still with us Lawyer Mahama. And before we lost you there, I was asking the issue about the petitions. We do not know what is entailed in this particular petition. And so it becomes a little bit difficult to know why the Chief Justice is being removed, as to whether it's a stated misconduct or incompetence. We do not know that. But with that, could the president be acting sui generis, as in abusing his power as president to remove the Chief Justice? Could that be possible?
It is never possible. It is never possible, because they are laid down procedures, both constitutionally and also by rules of natural justice. If you read Article 146, it also says that the Chief Justice will be acting through her lawyers, and also either her lawyer or any expert is through guys of their choice. So whatever petition that has been tendered to the president and referred to the Council of State, the Chief Justice would be served with it, because he who accuses must make that accusation clear and before the other party. And in this case, it is the Chief Justice. So definitely the Chief Justice would have the opportunity to respond, and to respond not just by herself, but through her counsel. So in that situation, there will be balance of rights, and one will not be shortchanged, or the other will not suffer an arbitrary process of the law, but rather a balanced situation.
Right. And given the failed petition against Justice Isaac Kobna Aban some time back, and the pressure on Justice Georgina Theodora Wood as well, might these past cases shape the current one we're seeing?
Come again, please. I didn't get that.
So I'm trying to get from you whether a failed attempt to remove Justice Aban from office as a result of wrong procedure, and also pressures that was faced by Theodora Georgina Wood, could that shape the current case at hand?
Definitely. I mean, as lawyers or as jurisprudence of the law, precedent is everything necessary to the current situation of the law, because precedent shapes how the law should evolve, and we learn from precedent going forward. So in such situations where we have endeavored that, it's definitely going to shape the current process ongoing, so that we ascribe to the best tenets of the law, so that one would not be sidelined, or there wouldn't be miscarriage of justice as far as the law is concerned.
Well, let's come to the Council of State members. What really is their legal, involvement with the removal process? Could the president go ahead anyway without their consent?
So the role of the Council of Elders is one of advice, and the Council of is one of advice, and also in respect they act as a look or a nexus.
Unfortunately, we lost lawyer Helm there, but I think the point has been made on the processes. Everything has to be in tandem with the 1992 Constitution. Well, away from that, parts of southern Ghana have, over the last 12 hours, had torrential rains. Will we have more rains? Let's speak to Joshua Samwa, Senior Forecaster, Ghana Meteorological Agency, currently on the line with us. We're grateful for your time, sir. Should we expect more rains?
Well, thank you for having me. We actually expect more rains, especially for us in southern Ghana. We are now going into the peak of the rainy season in the south. And so more rains are actually anticipated within the area.
What type of rains? Is it what we experienced yesterday, or this is going to be a bit better? I mean, looking at the state of devastation, billboards coming down, cars being destroyed by roofs. Some schools have had their roofs ripped off and all that. What do we expect from tomorrow? Or when is the next rains coming in?
Well, so what happens during the onset of the rainy season, before we get to the peak of the rainfall season, where rainfall becomes more often and we get rains almost every day, almost every few days. During the onset, rains are actually not that frequent. They occur randomly. But the kind of rainfall we get before the peak of the rainy season is of the type that we saw yesterday. And so they come with a lot of windy conditions, and then they are quite localized. So even in Greater Accra, you don't get it occurring over everywhere in the Greater Accra region. Just a few areas will get it. Other areas will not see that kind of magnitude. That is the condition we should be expecting from now into April. But when we go into the peak of the rainy season, May, June, July area, there we'll have frequent rainfall, but less windy conditions.
It looks like nowhere is safe, really. When you're in your house, it's being flooded. When you're outside, you're not sure whether a tree is going to fall on you, or like it happened at the ANC Mall yesterday, a roof is going to, fall on your head or in your car. You're not safe anywhere now. How do we feel safe or go out during this time of the year?
Well, around this time, because of the windy and the gusty nature of the winds that we see, it's best that you always stay in an area where you know very well that it's quite strong. If you're in a building, you should know that the building is quite strong before you seek shelter in these areas when you see the clouds gathering and then it's about to rain. Because it's not safe around this time to walk in the open when you see clouds gathering and rainfall coming. Because most of the rains we see now will come with that kind of gusty winds, and so it's not safe to be around at all in the open space. It's better to have a sheltered area, stay there for the event to cease before you step out. And because there's also a risk of flash flood during this period, it's also not safe to be driving when there's rainfall occurring, because you don't know the kind of the state of the ground where you are passing, and so it could bring a lot of challenges and then problems for you if the area is covered by water. So the best thing to do now is to stay in a very safe place, get a shelter when the event ceases, and you are very sure of the area where you are going, and then you can now step out and go to where you want to go.
We're grateful for your time here on NewsDesk. Thank you very much. So as you heard, you need to be safe out there at this time when torrential rains and flash floods are happening. Now, residents of Ekumfi in the central region are asking government to fix long-standing health challenges in the area. They say the lack of a proper emergency center, top-notch medical facilities, and poor road network make it difficult for healthcare officials to deliver optimal care and save lives. There's more in the following report.
First up, the Otom Model Health Center of Excellence, which is saddled with a lot of challenges. From a faulty, rickety ambulance that's not been used for more than a year to a records room that's barely hanging by the thread and an admission ward that can only house 3 patients at a time, the health center is overwhelmed.
We have a lot of challenges in Otam Model Health Center, starting from the outpatient department, which is the OPD. There are a bit of challenge as in office space. The records rooms are very, very small, very stuffy, and then a consulting room too. They don't have consulting, the couch for examination, and then the detention room, they just have only 3-bed capacity, which is not really favorable because we get a lot of cases to attend to. The laboratory too is very stuffy, and then we lack a lot of logistics for running the lab.
From here, the team docked at the Eswesia Model Health Center of Excellence. Here, we realized the ambulance had also been parked, not functional. The roof leaks badly anytime it rains, and the facility's lab is substandard, making it difficult to do a proper lab test. The standby power plant has also been out of service for a while, forcing healthcare workers to sometimes halt healthcare delivery anytime the power goes off.
We also have challenges with our ambulance. It's not been on the road for some time now because of some gene issues and then some other body works as well. Our plant is also in a very, it needs some servicing, and some we need to look at it because we are unable to work when the lights go out as well.
We are encountering a lot of problems with the issue of biohazards with the space. We also have a problem with our machineries, with the issue of hematological analyzer. We can't do full blood counts.
The situation isn't different at the Nakwa Polyclinic, the constituency's biggest and most modern health facility. No ambulance, small laboratory, faulty mechanized borehole that's yet to be fixed, and a shortage of prime staff makes healthcare delivery here difficult, especially for a hospital that was commissioned quite recently in 2018.
Looking at our water problem, this time around we have a very big problem with water because we don't have water to run the whole facility. We buy water from outside, so it's a big challenge for us. And also the staff here have accommodation issues. It's a big problem because this place is more or less like a village where people don't build houses to rent out. So when we came here, it was very difficult, and we have staff who want to come here, but because of accommodation, most of them finally go on transfer again because there's no place for them to stay and work.
We sought to find out how authorities are solving these problems to alleviate the plight of patients who throng these facilities. Dr. Regina Ahunu Ama is a Kumfi District Director of Health.
The challenges within the district are very peculiar challenges, which I must say are not insurmountable. Most of them have been brought to my notice, and myself and my team, we have contacted our stakeholders, the Regional Health Directorates, the chiefs, our Honorable MP, and well-meaning citizens of Ikunfi. The roof issue at Eswesia, I think the problem is beyond patching up. It's an issue of more or less trying to replace almost the entire roof. And the financial capacity of the directorate and the facility will not be able to do that as at now. So we have contacted our Honorable MP once again in the Assembly, and we are hoping for favorable response so that we can be able to curb that issue.
For patients who frequent these facilities, patience is a virtue that may pay off soon.
Well, joining us on this is Dr. Kwenu, MP for Ikunfi, on the line. And Dr. Kwenu, has these issues come to your attention? Dr. Kwenu, please unmute and speak to us.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Better, yes. I'm asking whether these issues have come to your attention.
Yes. Thank you very much for having me, and my regards to your viewers as well. Yes, these issues have come to my attention, and I've had the opportunity to basically also go around to have an assessment of how the situation looks like. In fact, some of the issues were quite worrying, and I think that just like the health director said, these are issues that can be dealt with. But I think that some of them too may require additional assistance, especially from my health ministry. So I've initiated steps basically to get the ministry's attention, and also to see how best myself as an MP can also put some resources into some of the issues that they are facing. I think the health of the constituency remains very paramount to all of us, and I, for one, am very keen on making sure that some of these things are resolved, because if the health of my people are not good enough, it's definitely going to affect the kind of development and the relationship that we have with my people. So definitely it's something that I'm really keen on looking at and working on.
Well, you say it's come to your attention. Which ones have jumped at you, or which are in need of immediate, solutions? You haven't specified what you're doing to resolve these issues.
Okay, so I had the opportunity to also visit some of these health centers. The one in Esosha, for instance, like the director said, has had an issue with their roofing, which basically forces water into the facility whenever there are heavy rains. It basically needs a total reshaping of the roofing, as well as also the laboratory services that they have. In fact, they lack quite a few things, and therefore, if you listen to them closely, even some of the medications that they give out are literally not on the basis of, let's say, laboratory confirmations on that front. And that's a bit dangerous for me, because these are people's lives. And therefore, if you give recommendations for drugs which are not necessarily backed by laboratory work, then clearly there's a problem. Now, if you go to Otam, for instance, if you look at where the patients are kept, it only takes 3. This is a place where they have a population of 1,000. And it's also another issue. So on my side, what I'm thinking is, yes, I mean, the government makes available some funds by way of the common fund, which is attributable to health. So I'll basically be working with the health director to make sure that some of these funds are put into judicious use, and also to get some of these things running. I know it's social, for instance, like I mentioned, in terms of the laboratory and other things, it's something that we need to put up. Some of them from my own resources and funds. I'll be committing some of these funds, because we need our people to be healthy, and therefore it's something that we really need to look at. I'm also reaching out to some organizations that literally help in the health sector to come to our aid, to help us to deal with some of these issues and challenges we have.
That's quite a lot. I mean, when you quantify everything, how much do you intend to spend, or how much is needed to fix these problems?
Well, I haven't done the assessment, but in my mind, probably a couple of millions may help. A couple.
Million cedis or dollars?
Of course, the legal tender is cedis, so I'm talking cedis.
Right.
Yes.
And so, I mean, there's also the DCs or MCs that are in the community, as well as other community leaders. How are you liaising or, collaborating with them to resolve these issues?
Yes, I mean, these are not only necessarily the work of the MP. I definitely need to work with the stakeholders, and I've informed the paramount chief as to the state of our health. I'm also hoping that when my DCE comes, of course, I'll be working with him closely, because the 80% of the common fund which comes to Assembly directly by virtue of the directive from President Mahama is a good thing. And I think that if these funds come, it's important that we work together to ensure that they are used judiciously to help the plight of our people. So definitely it's something that I'll be working with all these stakeholders, including the chiefs of the various communities where these facilities are domiciled. In fact, the best we have is the Nakwa Polyclinic, which was done during the time of President Mahama. And that has also really been very helpful, except that for now, they do not have a theater where they have to deal with emergency issues. And also, they have quite a few challenges that I'm also a witness to. So I'll be working closely with my health minister, as well as the Committee on Health, and also, like I said, organizations that are in the health industry to basically come to our aid. And I'm very hopeful that by the next time we should visit some of these facilities, we will see some changes that have happened within these facilities.
The next time will be when? Because really, next time is very subjective. So when is next time?
Well, I mean, in the medium term, probably by end of year, we should see a lot of changes.
Wow, that's very far away, considering what they're going through. But we hope that something is done. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Right. Well, an entomologist with the University of Energy and Natural Resources is raising public awareness about the consumption of African palm weevil larva known as akonkono in the Akan language. Now, Dr. Jacob Parachugwa Anankwari, the coordinator of the Health Insect Project, says the insect is highly nourishing for the body and has the potential to protect the environment because it generates little or no greenhouse gases. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin was at the insect farm in Sunyani and reports.
These beans you are seeing all over here have either the larval or adult stages of the African palm larva, which is traditionally known as akokono in the Akan language. So we use very simple agricultural products and sometimes agricultural waste to produce these nutritious edible insects.
Dr. Jacob Anankwari, an entomologist and lecturer at the University of Energy and Natural Resources, says the larvae grow between 21 and 28 days before harvesting.
Once these ones hatch and grow up to 21 to 28 days, they are often ready for the market. So harvesting a few of them. I don't want, some have started weaving cocoons, so I don't want to bother them so much. So you can have a look. If you see a bin like this, it has coconut husks and other, so you see larvae all over. You can see larvae everywhere. I was just harvesting a few of them.
They have a high rate of reproduction, and one bean can harvest between 150 and 180 larvae, weighing around 1 kilogram depending on the size.
So 150 to 180 will be a kilogram depending on the sizes. Because you see, if these ones are much smaller than these ones. Okay, so these are actually ready for the market. This is about the 8th insta stage. So it means these eggs were laid first. Yeah, so each bean has a minimum of 1 kilo. Some have 2 kilos, others have as high as 5 kilograms. And all this depends on the number of adults I have put in each bean. Some have just 3 pairs, others have 2 pairs. But if you have 5 pairs, then you are getting a lot of larvae, because each female adult can lay as much as 300 eggs. But the thing is, not all the eggs will hatch. And if they all hatch, not all of them will grow into adulthood, because if there is limited food, they may be cannibalism in the beans.
It contains 19 of the 21 essential amino acids, as well as high levels of protein and iron.
They have 19 out of the 21 essential amino acids, and they have superior protein and iron content that I will share with you at a different point in time. So if you come and take a look at this, this is a bin containing, these are 2 bins containing adults that we inoculated 3 weeks ago. And these are the adult stages. They are dead now. And then these are the larvae. These are just 3 weeks old. And you can see them looking healthy, strong, and yummy. So these ones will lay eggs, and the eggs will hatch into young larvae.
The edible insect emits no or very little greenhouse gas. According to Dr. Anankwari, eating them could help with both food insecurity and climate change.
And then whereas the beef has 14 milligrams of calcium, the insect has 88 milligrams. So somebody should tell me why we should not promote the consumption of edible insects. Then again, these insects do not emit greenhouse gases. Only a few groups of insects emit little greenhouse gases. If you compare these to conventional meats like beef, these produce 100 times less greenhouse gases. Okay, and then if you also look at the amount of vegetation you need as the palm larvae, you need little space. Look at this little space that I'm using, and I'm producing several kilos per week.
Currently, 1 kilogram of palm larva costs between 70 and 100 cedis.
We produce and we are not able to meet the quantities that people are purchasing. Because if I tell you the number of people who place orders and the class in society who place orders, you'll be shocked. That is why the prices have gone up to about 70 to 100 Ghana cedis per kilo. And why is it expensive? It's because we are not so many, just a few people are producing.
Dr. Anankwari refuses to share his trade secret, but says that production is simple and cost effective.
So you need a simple redden bin like this, which is relatively cheaper. Okay, this is a bin that you need, and then you need a wire mesh like this, and this is supposed to prevent predators and parasitoids. When I say predators, I mean wall jackals, lizards, rats, and parasitoids are insects that feed on other insects. And then you also need a rope and then a rubber band to hold it in place, and then you need a cloth like this just to cover as I'm doing, so that those insects which can actually penetrate the wire mesh holes will not be able to penetrate that. So you can see that other insects have come to lay their eggs on the cloth. We simply wash this periodically. So without this wire mesh, all these insect eggs would have been inside the bin, and that will contaminate our setup, and that is why we're doing this.
The entomologist says Ghana must push for innovation to encourage the growth of insects in order to help the economy grow and protect the environment.
So we can collaborate with these people, get them on board, train and empower them to produce the black soldier fly, Hematia illucens larvae, which will augment or replace fish meal in the diets of poultry, fish, and pigs. And I'm sure with that, we'll be able to fully feed our people with the right amount of protein without necessarily importing protein. And that will go a long way in helping the economy, because we will no longer have to spend so much cedi to buy dollars and import meat products.
A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
Climate Focus is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with Youth Bridge Foundation, bridging gaps for positive youth development, and the Climate Development Knowledge Network.
The Accelerated Rural Development Organization, ADO, a not-for-profit organization, is implementing a project to protect the country's forest reserves and sacred tree species. As part of this initiative, it's engaged herbal medicine producers who rely on trees and herbs for their products, educating them on best conservation practices. The project is also designed to enhance their capabilities, enabling them to produce safe medicines and add value to their products.
According to the United Nations Development Programme, approximately 70% of patients in Ghana prefer herbal medicine due to its affordability, accessibility, and cultural and spiritual acceptance. This has encouraged the government to integrate traditional medicine into the healthcare delivery system. In response, the Accelerated Rural Development Organization, ADO, has dedicated a component of its climate change project to ensure the production of safe herbal products. Pascal Benson Atigla is the executive director of ADO.
We have a key component being tree planting, a key component being sacred grove identification, documentation, and conservation. And so we believe that, just as we mentioned, the herbal practitioners are key stakeholders that contribute to either destroying it or will help to revive them. And so we see them as key stakeholders, the reason for which this program is organized for them. Apart from that, we want them to ensure that whatever they are doing is health safe, so that when people want to consume, they're able to consume well, and then we will not have any effect on our health.
The project will include training for local herbal medicine producers on safe production procedures, branding and registering their products with the Food and Drugs Authority. The program director of ADO, Winfred Daniel Donko, stated that the selected practitioners will receive support to undertake afforestation initiatives aimed at preserving endangered tree species.
If you have a product that is in containers, you are carrying along, selling tot, nobody will know your brand name and invite you. And no hospital will take that for anything. We are not sure of what the product is. So we want to discourage them from using those tot gallon serving containers. Yes. So this, when we finish the exhibition, we can now go to Food and Drugs Board to actually authority to present these things for testing and certification, including any other department that we think is helpful to.
Practitioners have praised the initiative, believing it will safeguard the environment and their livelihoods. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Have.
You're still watching NewsDesk. We'll be right back after this break.
It's time for business here on NewsDesk. My name is Winston Haki, and as our first business story, Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Sam George, says his ministry is engaging some key fintech companies to ensure robust sector and also data protection with new emerging technologies. He spoke at the launch of the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce Grand Challenge program to support entrepreneurs.
An initiative designed to identify, support and scale innovative Ghanaian solutions in the agriculture and energy sectors. It will invite researchers, entrepreneurs and innovators to propose solutions to key national and sectoral challenges, a structured pathway for advancing high-impact Ghanaian ideas. Minister for Communications Sam George said more engagement is ongoing with some key fintech players to address challenges within the cyberspace.
We need to, as a country, deepen the kinds of relationships, bilateral and multilateral, that we have. And for us as a ministry, today I think I've met about 4 different ambassadors in the ministry. And one of the things I said, and I met the development partners as well today, and I said to them that I think that the ministry's legislation should not be in the ministry, should be in the museum, because it's so outdated. I mean, some of the legislation in the ministry I've inherited is 22 years old. For tech ministry, you understand why I said that the legislation should sit in the museum. I think the youngest or freshest legislation in the ministry is 5 years old. And so the first order of business for me is to review the legislative ecosystem and ensure that we build the kinds of data governance and cybersecurity resilience we need to meet with some of the needs. And so the ministry is very open and very welcoming to innovation and technology. And so to the UK GCC team, you can always count on us.
Head of Trade Missions at the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce, Shekade Alayi, has been explaining what the challenge stands to achieve.
Hear from similar startups and more established startups, and they'll have the opportunity to talk to them, ask them questions, share their ideas, so that we can come up with real-world talent.
Away from that, Ghana is taking steps to formalize transnational education with a national framework. Speaking at the TNE validation workshop, Deputy Minister of Education Clement Abbas Apak emphasized the need for swift policy development to guide and enhance Ghana's participation in global education.
Stakeholders at the Transnational Education Validation Workshop have emphasized the urgent need for a national policy framework to regulate and enhance transnational education. Speaking at the event, Deputy Minister of Education Clement Apak highlighted the importance of fast-tracking policies to maximize their potential for Ghana.
Transnational education has come to stay. It is the wave of the future. And so I think this workshop, which is to validate research done through a collaboration of GTEC and the British Council, is very timely. Because whether we like it or not, this is the wave of the future. And it is important that as a nation and a government which prioritizes education, we work quickly with partners to develop a national framework. In fact, we need a policy to guide us, because if we don't, we will be losing out. So it is in our interest that we take advantage of this initiative as policymakers to see how we can fast track the processes to bring into being a national framework to guide transnational education as far as Ghana is concerned.
Principal of Ada College of Education, Professor Prince Boateng, noted the absence of a formal framework, which has led to a decline in international student enrollment. He advocated for a system that aligns Ghana's curriculum with global standards to attract quality students and export educational programs.
As of now, Ghana doesn't have a framework for transnational education, so the call for this particular workshop is to discuss how best we could have a national framework. Is that we want to ensure quality education. We also want the partnership. But then the economic value of all this is very important, so that the quality assured will let us know that, we can transport our education to other countries.
Senior research fellow at the University of Cape Coast, Francis Ansa, underscored the need for robust quality assurance mechanisms to prevent the importation of substandard education.
We need to have a system in place, quality assurance in place, that we do not import substandard education delivery in our country. But at the same time, too, we also have quality tertiary institutions in Ghana that also deliver quality programs that we can export to other countries. And we need to have quality assurance systems in place so that our institutions also do not go out there to deliver substandard education.
The workshop, a collaboration between GTech and the British Council, aims to provide actionable insights to guide policy formulation and reinforce Ghana's position in the global education landscape. Rosla Kalistego's report, read to you.
All for business here on NewsDesk. My name is Winston Taki. We'll be back after this break. Stay tuned.